And a very good morning to you. It is 7 a.m. Thursday, October 2nd, 2025. Welcome to ONNJ Mornings. I'm Ken Rosato, and we will take your calls at 888-658-0234, 888-658-0234. It's going to be a beautiful early fall day today, mostly sunny, highs in the upper 60s. We head to meteorologist Mike Favetta with a first check of the Thursday morning Garden State forecast. So, Mike, this is like yesterday, just a degree or two cooler, maybe, something,
Mhm.
something.
A degree or two cooler, drier, so there's more of that refreshing fall crispness to the air that everybody loves this time of year, except those that are just trying to cling on to summer right until the end. We have a lovely start to the day with 30s right now popping up in the northwestern corner of the state, Sussex included, even there toward Morristown, back over by Hackettstown. A very lovely way to start the day with that fall feel. Head down the shore, and it's a touch milder, 63 out on LBI because you're surrounded by those warmer ocean waters. In some locations, like you said, a few degrees cooler. Maybe places like Morristown, 13 degrees cooler. Down in Ship Bottom, down toward Tom's River, actually, that's more in the Pine Barrens, that weather station, 11 degrees cooler. So a nice still air overnight with the cool breezes and overall a clear sky led to a nice, dry, cool start to this morning. Clear sky all around, not a cloud today. Very similar to yesterday. A cool start, a warm afternoon. Less wind, though. I think we'll see those winds relax through the course of the day, making for a nice dry feel and keeping it dry all afternoon long. So the only thing you'll really see here on this futurecast are a few wispy thin clouds offshore and temperatures that remain cooler than average. That'll be going through tomorrow morning. Another cool start. Not as chilly, but we warm back into the lower 70s by tomorrow afternoon, as opposed to only the 60s today. And with a little bit of a southwesterly breeze pushing in for Saturday, some neighborhoods make it even into the low 80s. So a little bit of a warmer trend heading into the weekend, as the weekend will feel like we're right back in summer. Low 80s, lots of sun, not as much humidity, but noticeable going into Sunday afternoon, especially with highs again climbing into the 80s later in the day with mostly clear sky. So clear sailing with a lot of sun going right into the rest of this weekend. No chance of rain, and we're dry overall, warming slowly from the 60s today, 70s tomorrow, 80s on Saturday and Sunday. We'll let you know how long this warmth lasts coming up on the 7-day forecast, Ken. That's in a few minutes.
March 15th.
March
I noticed
15th.
there's no comment. That's how long it's going to last. March 15th. I mean, I put in the request of Mother Nature. I don't know. We'll see what happens. Pam is going to yell at me in my
Processing.
ear. Yes. Thank you, Mike. It is, wow. Is this right? 48.7? That's the first 40s I think we've seen so far since the springtime. 48.7, it says for northern New Jersey, 51 for Trenton right now, and it's 49 degrees in Cape May, New Jersey. So there you have it. Happy fall. It is what it is. Checking traffic. It's ugly. Looking at Pam is woohooing in my ear. Take a look at what we have right now on the eastern spur of the New Jersey Turnpike. You see the flanks there, especially on the right side. This is northbound south of interchange 15X, Secaucus train station, Secaucus. So this goes right into that exit. You can see off there and to the right, the Pulaski Skyway. This is an absolute mess, and that's due to a bus fire on the turnpike. So just try to avoid that because all lanes on the right side there as they come across and everything reunites, all lanes become blocked. It's a mess. The only other thing I want to talk about right now are the Hudson River crossings. Holland is great. Right now, it's only about 20 minutes, and the Lincoln is about 20 to 25. But look at the GWB. We have delays now. They didn't give us the better shot. They gave us this shot. All right, this shot doesn't really show what I'm about to tell you. But there are delays on the GWB lower level, eastbound, the New Jersey side. All lanes are open, but they're telling us travel time's already 25 minutes. This is about half a mile before. No, you know what, Pam? This is the shot coming into New Jersey. This is okay. I don't know why. This looks like this looks like the westbound shot. Yeah, that's the welcome to New Jersey sign there. Oh well, okay. We'll try to get that figured out. But this normally this is not the shot we're trying to show you. The other shot is definitely heavy. We'll figure out why they're pumping this shot on this particular channel. But nonetheless, this is in the same vicinity, but it doesn't show you what we're trying to show you. 7:05 is our time now on your Thursday morning, and the White House warns layoffs are likely as the Schumer government shutdown enters its second full day. Make no bones about it. This shutdown is 100% the fault of the Democrats. You'll see mainstream media. This is the funny thing. When Democrats controlled everything, the mainstream media and Democrats blamed Republicans for any government shutdown, even though they only needed a few of our votes, but they blamed us for the shutdowns. Now it's exactly the opposite. We voted yes on everything for the spending plan. Every Republican but like one out of like 350, 400 between the House and the Senate. Only one, which was Rand Paul. He's an ideologue. He voted against the spending plan. Every Republican voted for it. None of the Democrats but like one voted for it. So we need at least 5 Senate Democrat votes because you have to have 60 votes in the Senate. Just because Republicans are the majority in the Senate, you cannot pass a spending plan unless you have 60 votes. So 54 won't cut it, folks. Everyone knows it. The Democrats lie to your face, making it sound like it is the Republicans who shut this down. No, every Republican voted for this. It's only the senators who are on the Democrat side. You only need a couple of votes. They refused to vote for it. Chuck Schumer was going to support a 1-week extension. He found out that AOC was on his ass and is going to primary him. So he figured he had to protect himself to the left. And what he did was he said, no, let's shut down the government. Bad plan. Bad plan. So now any government shutdown, you can only blame on that man right there, Chuck Schumer. And what you see there, those are the effects we're talking about, because part of the spending bill he wanted to have the borders reopened. He wanted to be able to give health care, though he keeps denying it. He wanted to give health care to illegal migrants. Democrats rejected the GOP plan all in all. Senator Cory Booker, by the way, blamed Republicans too, saying the GOP is in charge of everything. And he knows that it takes the extra 5 votes from the Democrats, but he refuses to acknowledge that. Shutting us down. No, Corey, it's the Democrats. Every single Republican is voting for this plan. By the way, the spending plan as it has more money in it than any of the Biden spending plans. So there are no cuts. They got rid of some of the waste that everybody agreed under Doge was BS, like USAID. But every agency is getting a hike in money in this plan. Nobody's getting a cut. But yet they're making it sound like it's right out of the Democrat playbook. The evil Republicans are cutting spending. We support this. If we're cutting spending in this plan, then Biden cut spending in every one of the 4 years because it is worth more than any of the Biden plans. Vice President J.D. Vance says no final decisions on furloughs have been made yet. He cautions the situation could escalate quickly if the shutdown continues. So if you keep things shut down and we realize there are non-essential workers and yet we're still living our lives, those people who are non-essential will probably never get their jobs back. And you could blame the Democrats for that because they expose the fact that we don't really need those people working. There you have it. Good job, Dems. 7:08, President Trump signed an executive order pledging to defend Qatar after an Israeli strike on Doha. The order says any armed attack on Qatar's territory or infrastructure will be treated as a threat to U.S. security. Now, follow this. We are close allies with Israel. Israel bombed a Hamas headquarters in Doha without telling Qatar or us, apparently. Qatar, where we have a U.S. military base, got very upset with us. And they could say, get your military base out of here. So this is not the Trump administration turning its back on Israel. This is the Trump administration trying to please all sides. So publicly we're saying, we will support Qatar. Meanwhile, we're wink, wink, nod, nod to Israel because they went in. If Qatar was really our friend, why would they have allowed Hamas to have its headquarters? Excuse me as I wipe my eye. Why would they have allowed Hamas to have its headquarters in the capital, Doha? Clearly, they're not such friends. It's all about that money. So any U.S. response could include diplomatic, economic, or military action if needed, we said. Critics warn the pledge lacks Senate approval. That's the key, and could be overturned by a future president on purpose. On purpose. It's a public acclamation of defense of Qatar, but our defense will be with Israel no matter what, always. And that's a good thing. That's a good thing. They've always been our ally in the Middle East. 7:10, an explosion rocked a Bronx NYCHA building in Mott Haven, causing a partial collapse early yesterday morning. This happened just as the show was ending yesterday. So we got the alert as we were going off the air. Look at the side of the building sheared off. The whole side, top to bottom, sheared off. It is amazing that nobody got hurt or killed. Nobody, not even anyone on the ground. Nobody. Now, officials believe what happened was way down in the basement in the boiler, there was a blast. There was some kind of a leak. Look at that. It's crazy. They believe there was some kind of a leak in the basement by the boiler. And they believe what happened was that caused the chimney shaft to collapse, and that triggered that right there to happen. So it started in the basement, and that weakened the foundation. Then everything just crumbled down after that. So that's what you got there. Miraculously, again, no injuries or deaths. The residents had to be evacuated and checked out. Investigators now working to figure out the definite cause and to stabilize the building so we can maybe get people back, but that's going to take some time. As they say, that's going to be a meeting right there. They also have to try to figure out how to restore the essential services. There is just no available real estate in New York, and these people are now homeless temporarily. 7-Eleven world-renowned conservationist Jane Goodall has died at the age of 91. She passed away of natural causes while on a U.S. speaking tour. Goodall's imagine that. Let me stop. The woman lived in jungles among chimpanzees, literally lived with in a pack of chimpanzees. They accepted her as one of them. And she survived 95 degrees, mosquitoes. She comes to the United States. I'm sorry to laugh. I'm just because of the craziness. She comes to the United States to go to a speaking tour, and this is where she dies. Well, she was 91, rest her soul. She literally helped rewrite science books with her research. But I will say this, some of the things she did say about humans, she literally became part of the simian group. She was saying that life would be better if not for humans, basically. She was an advocate for letting our race die off. So Jane, you spent a little too much time with the monkeys. But nonetheless, she did learn a lot about chimpanzees and apes, etc. And we thank her for that. May she rest in peace, and she will be remembered as a tireless advocate for animals. 712, you have to see this video. The Kilauea volcano, look at that in Hawaii. They say Hawaii, they don't say Hawaii. Hawaii erupted again yesterday. That was its 34th lava episode since December. This latest eruption shot molten lava 1,300 feet into the air. That's almost as tall as the Empire State Building, which is 1,454 feet to the very tippy top of the antenna. I know that because I'm a broadcast nerd. The lava remains safely contained in the summit crater inside Hawaii Volcanoes National Park. Park officials remind visitors stay on marked trails and sign up for U.S. Geological Survey eruption alerts. A 17-year-old boy is charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder after a fatal hit and run in Cranford. 2 teen girls riding an electric bike were struck and later died at the hospital. The crash happened on Burnside Avenue just after 5:30 in the afternoon, September 29th. A makeshift memorial has been set up at the scene, and Cranford Family Care is raising funds for the victims' funerals. And a civilian Navy employee has been charged after falsely reporting an active shooter at Joint Base McGuire-Dix Lakehurst. The hoax caused a full base lockdown Tuesday morning before being declared unfounded. Investigators say Malika Brittingham fabricated the story to create a so-called trauma bond with coworkers who had ostracized her. So you work at a place, you feel like you're not part of the crowd. So in order to become part of the crowd, you cause a potential crisis so that way everybody bonds. That's called a trauma bond. That's a mental instability issue. Don't know that for sure, but I'm guessing that's what they'll come up with. Federal officials call the act senseless fear-mongering, and they say that she will be prosecuted to the fullest. 714, New Jersey now under a statewide drought watch. Mike has been telling us about this, warning us about this for quite a while, following months of below normal rainfall. By the way, when Mike says we are dry, he's not just saying, he's not blaming Mother Nature. He's also saying, be careful with wasting water. That's the side, he's being polite, but he's right. Officials say the dry summer strained water supplies across the state. Residents are urged to voluntarily conserve water, limiting lawn watering and taking shorter showers. Don't do the laundry 3 times or 2 times. Do it once. Do a big load once. Don't run the dishwasher if you just have a few plates and you can do them by hand quickly. If conditions worsen, mandatory restrictions could follow under a full drought emergency. So just conserve water for now, please. 7:15, and today marks the International Day of Nonviolence, celebrated worldwide on the birthday of Mahatma Gandhi. The day honors Gandhi's legacy and reminds the world of the power of peace in a time of rising division and conflict. Designated by the UN in 2007, the day promotes a global culture of tolerance, understanding, and nonviolent action. The message is clear. Meaningful change can happen without hate or harm. Tell that to some of the people on the far left these days. As Gandhi said, nonviolence is the greatest force at the disposal of mankind, especially with all the recent attacks. Let's remember to choose peace, not only in our homes, but in our communities and definitely in our politics. You're fine debating people. It's okay. But don't hate people. Walk away, have a little dinner with them and chat, and then change the political subject. It is 50 degrees right now, 7:15. Sunny today, highs in the upper 60s, and we are coming right back. You're watching on New Jersey Mornings. Don't go away. Welcome back to On New Jersey Mornings for your Thursday. I'm Ken Rosato. It is 7:16. We're taking calls at 888-658-0234. You like yesterday, you'll love today. Rinse, repeat. Mostly sunny, a little drier, a little crisper. Highs upper 60s. Right to meteorologist Mike Favetta with the full Garden State forecast. Good morning, Mike.
Good morning, Ken. Good morning, Ken. It feels lovely, nice and dry and crisp. A little bit of frosty feel in the northwestern corner of the state where there's a frost advisory just across the border there in Pike County. So bordering those towns along the western corner of Sussex County. A really chilly start to the day, bringing back lots of sun this afternoon and warming throughout the rest of the day. So you'll feel the cool breeze this morning, but by the afternoon, all that sun will warm us right back up into the mid and upper 60s, which is closer to where we should be. That's a few degrees less than we're used to through the first few days of October, but nothing but clear sky up and down the East Coast. We're staying nice and dry. Even a few clouds out in the Midwest, not going to bother us today. So the dry weather remains with dew points very low. Anytime they're in the 30s and 40s, that is downright dry, and it stays that way, feeling quite pleasant even into tomorrow afternoon. By Saturday, that's where the winds begin to push in some slightly more humid weather. I mean, certainly dry for October, so it'll still feel comfortable, but not as bone dry going into the weekend. Then Monday and Tuesday, a few clouds try to come back, maybe get a sprinkle. By Wednesday, it's a very weak passing system that moves on through. Might just be a few light showers by midweek, and then it clears out once more for the continued clear weather going into next weekend. So our weather forecast for this weekend, again, feels like summer. Just like last weekend, we'll have temperatures in the 80s. It'll feel quite pleasant, 80 degrees at least both days, maybe even a little bit warmer with a lovely west-southwesterly breeze. We'll tell you more about next week's weather on the 7-day. It's coming up, Ken, in just a few minutes.
All right. Thank you very much. Appreciate you, Mike. It is 7:18 right now, 47 degrees in northern New Jersey, and it is 48 degrees Cape May and 51 in Trenton. Pam, if we can, try to bring up that New Jersey Turnpike again. It is the one which is by the Southern Mixing Bowl. You know that one? So, yeah, there we go. So, look, they're stopped now. And they're stopped there on those lanes in the extreme right and extreme left because there was let's see, what was this one? There are two different issues here. So this one was a bus fire on the New Jersey Turnpike Eastern Spur northbound south of interchange 15X by the Secaucus train station in Secaucus. The right lane is blocked, and this is the result, although now the video is frozen. But that is not our fault. We will get that. We will get that updated. Of course, the video just froze. Nonetheless, that is a big problem. If we could switch right over to the GWB, Pam. There we go. Come back. You come back to us. That is a problem with with their system, not us. We talk Hudson River crossings. We still have a gridlock alert week in effect through tomorrow, and that is because the world leaders have gone home, but their employees are still at their appointed embassies in Manhattan. So right now we are told that there is a lot of gridlock in Manhattan, and you want to try to avoid driving in, take mass transit if possible, or work from home. The Lincoln and Holland are reporting 25 minutes. Actually, the Lincoln is 25 to 30. The Holland is 20 to 25. GWB upper and lower levels. Let's see if we have. They still didn't give us the good shot. All right, so take our word for it. The GWB upper and lower levels now telling us 30 minutes in, but you can't see it from this because this is once you get into New Jersey. So we'll try to figure out what's the deal with that. It's 7:20 right now, and 2 New Jersey public school teachers are suing the NJEA over political spending. $40 million in union dues were pumped into campaign coffers for union president Sean Spiller's failed gubernatorial campaign. The teachers say the union broke their trust and violated rules on political contribution. So here you work hard, you donate money because you have to be part of the union. To teach, you have to be part of the union, right? You are forced to pay those dues. They get taken right out of your salary. And you have no say in what happens. So the union takes those dues and pumps they'll say, we got to vote. Yeah. They pump the dues into their president, which sounds a little shady, a little suspicious, into their president running for office. And he loses the primary miserably, like last place miserably. And then you're $40 million in the hole. Well, the NJEA denies any wrongdoing, calling the lawsuit baseless and without merit. I don't know. We'll see where this goes. But it seems, let's just say everyone's innocent until proven guilty. We'll see what the investigation pulls up. But it seems a little suspicious when the head of the union is running for something and all of the rank and file has to pay money to support the head of the union. And it by the way, got him onto the stage, the debate stage, because of the money. And he did not raise that money from rank and file New Jersey members, people who are citizens. It was just the union. So that's why other candidates were really upset with that he didn't earn the money the way everyone else did. So we'll see where that goes. It's New Jersey, and they're all Democrats, so I'm not holding my breath, but we'll see. 7:22, another lawsuit now. New Jersey is suing Pfizer, Johnson & Johnson, and others over toxic waste in Morris Plains. The DEP says groundwater at the site is still contaminated decades after the plants shut down. The lawsuit targets both polluters and real estate firms that allegedly knew about the contamination and didn't say anything. Pfizer says it will defend itself, while the Department of Environmental Protection says it needs more funds to protect public health and clean up the water supply. It is 7:22. At least 6 North Carolina beach houses crumbled into the ocean since Tuesday as hurricanes Umberto and Imelda roared past the East Coast. Now, you see this mess? This is from the outskirts, the outer bands that literally skirted past. And this is the damage it caused by pushing all that water in, destroyed 6 houses. Look at that mess. Thankfully, nobody died. The houses were all built on stilts. This is very common in a lot of coastal communities. Florida used to have a whole community. I think they called it Stilt Town, in fact. It was like 50 houses. They're all gone. They're just like hovels still standing in some spots in the water because one storm after another destroyed them and you can't get insurance for them. This happened near Buxton, North Carolina, by the way, on Tuesday, which is the Outer Banks area. Again, nobody got hurt. Each of those homes was empty, but they're gone. Clearly, they will never be rebuilt, I'm sure. Frightening footage captured one of the homes swaying on its stilts over the churning and overflown sea. And then it began to fall from the structure, and the home nosedived into the waves. I believe that's the one you're looking at right now that's now just meandering and washing in the water. Very sad. Another clip captured a home dropping straight onto its foundation and into the incoming surf as it was torn apart. Imelda mercifully avoided landfall in the U.S. and turned out to sea about halfway up the Florida coast, but still sent those dangerous winds, waves, and rain crashing into the southern U.S. coast. And you look at all that damage, you have to say, there, but for the grace of God go we, that didn't curve a little further inland, because that would have been inland, Florida, South Carolina, Georgia, etc. So those houses took the brunt. It is 7:24, an amazing story now. We don't have video for it, but you have to hear this. A skydiver who flew to the U.S., to Nevada from England to do a skydive. He was a young guy. He was only 25. He was doing a tandem skydive with an instructor, and each had a parachute on, and each parachute failed while they were 11,000 feet in the air. Do you follow this? I'm terrified of the idea of heights, and I have claustrophobia too. So I'm having issues telling you this story. But the skydiver fell with his instructor from over 2 miles in the sky slamming into the ground with no full parachutes. Apparently, there was a little tiny bit of the parachute flailing, but they fell at about 50 or 60 miles an hour onto the earth. They both survived. 25-year-old Mitchell Deacon must have a guardian angel because his body hit that desert floor from 11,000 feet in the air. The only fracture they could see at first was his pelvis. Now they're saying he may have fractured a rib. 11,000 feet. People die falling off a ladder 7 feet in the air. Think about that. So Deacon flew here from the UK, jumped with that instructor. The instructor, sadly, is in critical condition, but he too did survive the fall. So say a prayer for him. A GoFundMe has been set up to help cover medical expenses. I don't know about you, but for me, I'm perfectly fine on terra firma. Don't need to jump out of a perfectly good plane. Not needed. 726, former New York Governor Andrew Cuomo apologized to Jewish New Yorkers for lockdowns that he imposed during the COVID-19 outbreak 5 years ago that banned large gatherings, closed schools, and disrupted religious traditions. Take a listen.
During COVID, as governor, I made decisions with the best of intentions to protect health and save lives. However, I recognize that some of those decisions caused pain in the Jewish community because we did not always fully consider the sensitivities and traditions that are so deeply important. We could have done better, and for that, I am truly sorry.
And I'm sure that's a sincere apology because he only had 5 years. And before he decided to run for mayor, he could have apologized, but didn't. And he decided to apologize now that he's like a distant second in the polls in New York and it's Yom Kippur. Yeah, that's very honest. The apology came right before, as I mentioned, the start of Yom Kippur, which was yesterday at sundown. Right now, we are officially in Yom Kippur until sundown tonight. While Cuomo runs as an underdog in his political comeback bid for mayor, Cuomo said that he made decisions to protect the health and safety of New Yorkers during the once-in-a-century pandemic that killed about 80,000 residents, many of whom died because of him, because he told the hospitals to send back sick elderly patients into nursing homes where people who did not have COVID were living. And so he brought COVID into those nursing homes, resulting in thousands of deaths. I have relatives who work in the funeral home business who said that they had to convert the funeral homes into freezer cases to store refrigerator cases to store dozens and dozens and dozens of bodies. That should never have happened. That should never happen again. And we still haven't gotten to the bottom of it. We all know this was China's fault, but we don't want to fully blame them because what are you going to do, I guess, right? What are you going to do? But it's okay that our relatives died and they couldn't have us holding their hands when they died because it was thought that that would have been worse. Never again, folks. Don't ever, ever, ever accept a government that tries to impose rules that are not constitutional. Ever, ever. Do not accept it. Rise up. Do not ever accept that again. That is not what this country is based on, and hopefully we learned our lesson. Fool me once. 728, President Trump announced the National Guard troops are now in place in Portland, Oregon. Trump says the federal troop deployment is to protect ICE facilities and to combat Antifa. Antifa doesn't seem very anti-fa. That's anti-fascist. They seem very, very pro-fascist, actually. His initial announcement on Saturday described Portland as a war-ravaged and armored vehicles, or as war-ravaged, I should say, and armored vehicles were seen around the city Friday night. This follows a similar deployment in Los Angeles and planned operations in Chicago and Memphis. Now, for months, Antifa terrorists have surrounded the ICE facility in Portland, and Portland police seem unable or unwilling to do anything about it. The mayor has told them don't do anything, so they could just stand there and watch as these Antifa protesters try to burn the place down. So the president said enough. His job is to protect national land and national people. So the president does have the authority under the Constitution in that circumstance to call up the National Guard, and he did it. If these socialist mayors and governors, which they are, the mayor of Portland is this emasculated little 90-pound wimpy guy who sounds like my little niece who's about 3 years old. That's what he sounds like. Like it's just a little girly man. And the governor is this giant bull dyke. And between the two of them, they haven't seen anyone right of center that they ever liked. So they hate Trump and they hate America. They hate America. And by the way, you're talking to a gay man here. So when I say those things, don't say, you can't say bull dyke. Yeah, I sure as hell can. And I know lots of them. And they're good friends of mine. But this woman is trying to show that she has bigger ones than the guys. and is playing a game with people's lives in Portland. By the way, do you have trouble sleeping? Tossing and turning at night? Well, it could be doing more than just leaving you groggy the next morning. A new major sleep study suggests that poor sleep habits could be physically aging your brain. Researchers analyzed brain scans and sleep patterns from over 27,000 middle-aged and older adults and found that people with poor sleep habits had brains that actually looked older than their actual age. Specifically, those with the worst sleep patterns had brains that appeared about a year older than their chronological age on average, while people with moderately poor sleep showed brains that were about 7 months older. The study was published in eBiomedicine. It used advanced brain imaging and machine learning to estimate brain age based on almost 1,100 different brain features. Who knew? And we mentioned it before, but we'll say it again. Today is Yom Kippur. This is the first full day. It started last night at sunset. It's the Jewish Day of Atonement, the holiest day on the Jewish calendar, and it ends again tonight at sunset. Yom Kippur is dedicated to repentance, reflection, and seeking forgiveness for one's sins against God and others. The holiday traditionally gets marked with a 25-hour feast and intensive prayer services. It is 47 degrees now at 7:28. When we come back, we'll talk about how women can take charge of their health. Very important, especially when it comes to things like breast cancer, heart health, stroke, and menopause. We're going to talk about that. Very important subject. The phone lines are open. We'll take your calls at 888-658-0234. Lots of sun today, highs upper 60s. You're watching on New Jersey Mornings. Don't go away.
Hi, I'm Jeanette Hoffman, host of Energy Matters. Join me every night at 6 p.m. where we're discussing energy affordability, challenges, and solutions with stakeholders and elected officials. Join me weekdays at 6 p.m. on Energy Matters on ONNJ.
Very good morning to you. It is 48 degrees right now. It's 7:32. I'm Ken Rosato. Welcome back to On New Jersey Mornings, Thursday, October 2nd. Sunshine today, highs upper 60s. Meteorologist Mike Favetta has the detailed Garden State forecast. Good morning, Mike.
Good morning, Ken. Love this time of year when you have those cool starts in the morning, right? Nice and dry and chilly. And then by the afternoon, it's like a different day. It's gorgeous. It's warm. It's sunny. It'll feel fantastic. You can thank the humidity or the lack of for that, which is allowing for those big temperature swings from just a few hours. So this morning, we start off in the 40s back in the Pine Barrens. However, you head toward the shore, it's closer to the 50s. And by this afternoon, we're up around 70 degrees, at least over in Camden and Salem. So a little bit warmer through the end of the day with that milder feel, thanks, of course, to all of that sunshine. Now, with today feeling a little cooler than average, we'll only be in the upper 60s. All that sunshine going to warm us up very quickly from the 40s up in northern New Jersey all the way into the 60s later on. There are the remnants of Imelda swinging out to sea very quickly, so that will keep us nice and dry as we just have a lovely northerly breeze, high pressure taking over, giving us our pleasantly cool weather through this afternoon, and then a little bit warmer tomorrow, back in the low 70s statewide. I think tomorrow evening, another cool evening with a dry start to Saturday. And then by Sunday, look at how we're back in the 80s. So a little bit warmer each and every day heading into next week. With that high pressure that moves in for the weekend, it keeps our skies nice and clear. Could give us a few clouds, I think, early Friday morning. But beyond that, we're dry. And as it settles in across the Northeast and positions it just to our south of New Jersey, that brings back a southwesterly wind, and that's what pumps in the mild air for this weekend. So a really pretty feel going even into Monday, that lovely October weather that you know and love. Now, with the temperatures climbing back into the 80s and staying there throughout the weekend into next week, it is a little bit warmer than usual, especially by Tuesday, getting up to 81 degrees. But I think Wednesday, that's our next chance for rain, a whole 6 days away. So it takes some time to get some wet weather around here. And obviously that drought continues even across southern New Jersey, which isn't as bad. It's not as severe of a drought across the shore points because you got a lot of rain with several rounds of wet weather over the last few weeks. Northern New Jersey has been drier. I think you'll have to wait until Wednesday for the next chance of rain as well. So a lovely feel all around. Great weather this weekend, Ken. Looking fantastic until we wait for some much needed rain about a week away.
All right, let's hope. We definitely need it. We don't want to go into the winter that dry, certainly. Thank you very much, Mike. 7:35 right now, 49 degrees northern New Jersey, 51 in Trenton. And in terms of traffic, still have this mess on the Turnpike. This is a disabled bus on the Turnpike Eastern Spur northbound of interchange 15W I-280 Kearney. Center lane is blocked. Now, those two lanes, the extreme right and extreme left, they will reunite up above just by the Pulaski Skyway. So that is where we have the issue. That's why both of those sides are bumper to bumper. That's going to take a while to get a disabled bus out of the way. So give yourselves a lot of extra time if you're traveling through that area, please. We have an overturned vehicle also, and a vehicle off the roadway, New Jersey Turnpike northbound, north of interchange 2. That's way down south by Route 322 East Greenwich Township. Oh, wait a second. Is there an East Greenwich? Now I'm confused if they're talking about Connecticut or if they're talking about New Jersey. We'll have to check. Pam, you have to check that for me, please, while we're on. We have a bus fire on the New Jersey Turnpike Eastern Spur. We just told you about that. They have it reported twice here, so we got an issue with that. We have delays on the Garden State southbound. Exit 149 in Bloomfield to exit 147. So it's about a 2.5-mile delay going southbound on the Garden State Parkway. And right now, your Hudson River crossings, we're told the Lincoln Tunnel is about 30 minutes across, 25 at the Holland. And our GWB, even though they're showing a different angle, we don't know why, but this is about a 25 to 30-minute crossing time into Manhattan. This is the opposite angle you're looking at once they come into New Jersey, but we'll try to figure out why they're doing that. Dr. Sharon Lewin is the director of the Division of Gynecologic Oncology at Holy Name. The doctor is helping lead two major health events in North Jersey this October. Holy Name's Women's Health Symposium, it's on October 19th in Englewood Cliffs, and the Lewin Fund's 6th annual Walk for Women's Cancers on October 5th, and that's happening in Paramus. Now, she's here to talk about how women can take charge of their health, especially when it comes to things like breast cancer, heart health, stroke, and menopause. And we say good morning to you, Dr. Lewin. Good to have you on.
Good morning, Ken. Thank you so much for having me.
You bet. And I know that with certain illnesses that are the symptoms are different. They present themselves differently with women, right? Like heart health. I only know from my own family how a man could start feeling chest pains and have issues with their heart way in advance, and a woman may not even realize they're having a heart attack, right? So let's talk about how important it is for women to be proactive with their health, more so than even men.
Exactly. And that is the whole point of our symposium on October 19th, is to really focus on prevention. You know, Holy Name has been in the community now for 100 years. And so we're celebrating taking care of women and patients in the community for 100 years. And so the focus of the symposium will really be on prevention. And the 5 most common, health concerns for women: stroke, heart disease, for example, cancer, and things that women can do to help prevent these things and recognize the signs and symptoms.
And very, very important. And I'm thinking of some of the women in my life, many of whom were actually in the medical field. I have a friend who was a nurse who died of colon cancer because she started getting symptoms right at the beginning of COVID and put off getting to the doctor because she was busy helping everybody else as a nurse. And then by the time it was time to go to the doctor, we had shutdowns, lockdowns, and she lived 5 years. But that's what kills me. It's like women, and yes, I'm going to paint with a broad brush. Women tend to be much more caring of others, but they need to really care for themselves too, right? It's like the men in
Yes,
the house. I'm really painting with a broad brush. The men in the house rely on the women to baby them, right?
yes,
Because
yes.
without women, men are babies. I'm just saying it. I acknowledge that. And men would die if not for women, because women they do everything. God bless the ladies in the life. So that's why it is so important you're doing this. So talk about the Walk for Women's Cancers and how essential this is to help raise
Well,
funds and to help also raise awareness.
Well, Ken, thank you so much for saying that. So, our 6th annual Walk for Women's Cancers is this Sunday in Paramus. And so I hope people will still join. You can register. The weather looks beautiful. We're raising funds to help women with cancer in terms of innovative research, psychosocial support programs, education and prevention. It's really a wonderful activity and event to culminate the whole community. You can bring your children. We'll have massages and snacks and DJs, and it's really a really fun event to bring the whole community together. And just what you said, data definitely shows that women are more apt to prioritize everyone else in their lives rather than themselves. They don't recognize the signs and symptoms of cancers. They don't do preventative things. And that's why the walk is so important. That's why the Women's Health Symposium is so important. And these events will really help highlight the importance of prevention, taking care of yourself, and really having, ample time to talk to experts in the field.
Amen to that. And how about, doctor, for women in their 30s and 40s? What are some early signs they really need to watch for, especially when it comes like things like breast cancer or heart issues?
Well, that's a great question. So, a big focus of the Women's Health Symposium will really be obesity and lifestyle issues, because we do know, for example, that obesity is now a cause of about 13 different kinds of cancers. So, there are a lot of lifestyle issues that young women can start doing in their 30s. Also, a lot of preventative things like the HPV vaccine, pap smears, seeing the gynecologist, a lot of different things that can be done. The great thing about the Women's Health Symposium on October 19th, we'll have a fantastic panel. We're also having an expert to come talk from Mount Sinai about menopause, and then breakout sessions so participants can really have one-on-one time to learn in depth about different topics that are interest to them and ask questions. Things also like gut health. I can't stress the importance of nutrition for young women, for all people, not only just women. But the focus of this event is really on women.
I love that you're talking about that, and I love that you talked about gut health. We just had the story the other day about the 117-year-old woman and who's the oldest on earth. And one of the things she still talks about, is the fact that she eats raw homemade yogurt every day. We're not talking about the stuff you find with all the sugar and the colorings in the store. The raw, real yogurt, putting all those probiotics in her gut every day. Isn't that where the majority of our defenses come from, right? With
Yes,
the bacteria in our gut.
absolutely. We have a phenomenal person who's speaking about the microbiome and gut health. And yes, we just want to empower. Well, the focus of this symposium is women, but we really want to empower people to take control of your health. I think people don't realize there's so much that can be done to really take control of your health to help prevent heart disease, cancer, stroke, mental health disorders, and that's really the focus of the symposium. Nutrition and gut health is a big part of this. So there are a lot of things that people can do to take control of your health. Please do register for our symposium on October 19th. It's a free event in Englewood Cliffs. You'll learn so much. We really want to empower you to take good control of your health and prevent cancers and other health conditions. And we'd love you also to participate in our Walk for Women's Cancers. We just
Mm.
finished Gynecologic Cancer Awareness Month. We're moving into Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And it's a really important time to empower women to, make these healthy lifestyle choices.
And we started talking about menopause there for a moment. Why is it that so many women, um, back, let me go back when I was a kid, and I'm 58. Women whispered about menopause like it was something to not talk about, and it's a part of nature. It's part of growing up and getting older, and it's part of life. So why is it that so many women are still feeling unprepared? Is it just still one of those things women don't want to talk about? And I know that there's a study that shows only 1 in 4 women feel informed about perimenopause. So why is that? And obviously events like this help close that gap.
Absolutely. And our keynote speaker, Melanie Marin from Mount Sinai, is really a guru about menopause and will speak about that. There's been a lot of controversy in the literature and the data about the safety of hormone replacement therapy. Again, it goes back to women not prioritizing themselves, and not really being able to speak openly about these issues. But there's been so much data now about the safety of hormone replacement therapy and the importance of improving women's quality of life and their longevity. She's really going to dispel a lot of the myths and really talk about all the new data. And so it'll be a really important time to highlight the importance of the the health and the data for women in the perimenopausal and older age.
Doctor, what is a website to register or get more information for the events?
So if people want to register for the Women's Symposium, they can please go to the Holy Name website and they'll find the Women's Symposium on October 19th there. For the Walk for Women's Cancer, they can go to thelewinfund.org and they will find information about the walk, which is coming up this Sunday. But the weather looks gorgeous, so we'd love to have anyone join us there too. But
And
Ken, I really
Mike. Oh no,
thank you
I'm
for
sorry. I was going to say,
highlighting
Mike, our
women's issues.
meteorologist promises. He promises you're going to have perfect weather.
Thank you
I
for
didn't mean to
highlighting
step on
women's
you, Doc.
issues today. We really appreciate it.
Well, we appreciate you taking the time to come on. We all, us dopey men, again, as I say, we would not be able to put our shoes on without the women in our lives. And so God bless every one of you. And you are sanctified in my eyes and should be held up like this. Everyone, mark your calendars. The Lewin Fund 6th Annual Walk for Women's Cancers. It's this October 5th, this weekend in Paramus. And Holy Names Women's Health Symposium, October 19th in Englewood Cliffs. Dr. Sharon Lewin, please don't be a stranger. Come back again, Director of the Division of Gynecologic Oncology at Holy Name. We appreciate you coming on today.
Thank you, Ken. Have a wonderful day. Appreciate it.
You too. Thank you. 7:46 right now, 48 degrees. When we come back, World Teachers Day is coming up this Sunday, too. It's a busy weekend. We're going to talk with a podcaster who was recently named America's STEM Teacher of the Year. It's going to be sunny today, highs upper 60s. You're watching ONNJ Mornings. We'll be back in 30. Welcome back to ONNJ Mornings. I'm Ken Rosato at 7:46. Straight to meteorologist Mike Favetta with a check of the Garden State fall forecast. Good morning, Mike.
Good morning, Ken. A very fall feel with nice, dry, cool weather this morning, warming into the upper 60s this afternoon. Mostly sunny skies all around, really not a cloud. I think if you look outside, you'll see just blue sky all across the northern part of the state. The dry weather remains with a little bit more rainfall than average, only at the shore points. The rest of the state bone dry. So that drought continues. We'll give you the drought update coming up in the next hour. Scientists are crunching the numbers with the hand-drawn maps there. But our forecast points to another quiet day, at least out in the tropics. There's this system coming off the coast of Africa that has a very low chance, may develop over the next several days. This one, which actually looks like something, still not anticipated to develop. So our forecast points to warmer than average conditions here in New Jersey right through the middle of October. Not as warm as down south, but most of the country features that very warm weather. And then I think equal chances of rainfall right through the first few days of October in through October 12th. So it's dry around here for this week, not anticipating any rainfall whatsoever until next Wednesday. In fact, we get a warm up on the way with highs that will climb into the 80s going into next week, even 81 by next Tuesday. And then even this weekend down the shore, temperatures cool off into the 70s, but it'll still feel lovely with any rain waiting until next Wednesday. So a lovely dry feel, lots of great weather. This is your quintessential October weather. You get to enjoy some of the fall foliage. Maybe if you're ambitious, you head down toward the beaches because it will be that warm. So great forecasts all around, Ken.
All right. Thank you so much, sir. We check our traffic right now as it is 48 degrees. That's a little oof when you walk out in the morning. That's a nice way to do it. 48 degrees here. And we have a crash with property damage on the Garden State Parkway, northbound right at the border with Rockland County at exit 172 Grand Avenue in Montvale. So beware of that. There aren't even cameras up there on the highway, so we can't even show you that shot. We have a crash on Route 38, both directions, by Mansion Boulevard in Pennsauken Township as you make your way toward Philadelphia. We have the left lane closed. Disabled bus, New Jersey Turnpike Eastern Spur northbound by interchange 15W I-280 in Kearney. We've been showing you that all morning. That's a mess. And we have there it is. Thank you, Pam, for that. Look, Pam's quick on a draw. We also have an overturned vehicle and a vehicle off the roadway, New Jersey Turnpike northbound, north of interchange 2. And we have a bus on fire on the turnpike. Wow, the turnpike is busy. That's by 15X. So now we have, again, get this. We have a disabled bus at 15W and a bus on fire at 15X. Busy place the turnpike is today. So no matter where you go, you're hitting a lot of volume. Lincoln Tunnel and Holland are both 25 minutes across. GWB is about 35 minutes. And this is, yeah, we don't even have to show that shot anymore, Pam, because this is the shot once you get into New Jersey, not into Manhattan. They've switched them up on us for whatever reason. Just know that we have a gridlock alert week still in effect until tomorrow. So try to avoid driving into Manhattan if you can. 7:50 is our time. Elena Zakharova is the founder of Kid Laboratories and host of the Future Proof Kids podcast. She's on a mission to help teachers and parents raise the next generation of capable kids in a digital world. Elena says the idea of just teaching STEM is not enough. Her new book, Future Proof Kids, comes out this December, and Elena is here to talk about it. Good morning, Elena. Good to have you with us.
Good morning. Thanks for having me. I'm very excited to celebrate World Teacher Day.
And you should be. And my mom was a teacher. My mother-in-law was a teacher. So I'm very excited for it, too. God bless our teachers. And it's this Sunday. It's the perfect time to have you on. Congratulations on what you do. And what was it like spending your time teaching?
So I have an interesting introduction to teaching. I actually started in tech. I was a 15-year tech professional. And then I went into teaching after I had my kids. A little bit part-time at my local church, and I brought all my STEM value, my tech value to the schools. I started teaching STEM courses, and it was amazing. It's one of those careers that you get way more from the students than you ever think you are in teaching them.
Yeah, that must be exciting, especially when you're teaching a subject that you can see they're really enjoying and absorbing, and then you kind of play off each other's energy. What do you think is missing in most classrooms today?
I read about this in my book, but having this unique experience coming from tech, and I talk about this in my podcast, it's a Kid Laboratories podcast. One thing that I recognized in the professional world was when I worked at IBM, a weekly cadence call, and we would commit to our goals, what money, or what I was a business development executive, what POs we were going to bring in for that week. The first thing I noticed is that students came to the classroom without any clear set intentions of how they were going to perform. And so if they did well on a subject or a test, that's great. But if they didn't have a plan of action, how to meet some sort of goal that they outlined for themselves. So I helped them work through that.
Interesting. And that's, I mean, that one-on-one though is so essential to really see where they are and help pull that out. By the way, funny when you said IBM, my brother's been with IBM for 45 years, working out of Armonk. So it's know it well, great corporation. What would you say are the hidden skills that kids need that oftentimes are overlooked?
Right. And I do write about this in my book as well, Future Proof Kids. So there's the hard skills, or I call them the core skills that kids are going to need for the future. That's the digital literacy, that's the financial literacy. And the other skills I call power skills. This is critical thinking, this is adaptability. These are the type of skills, personal character skills. And that's why the first course out of the gate, I created a virtual course that I host over the summer in my Kid Laboratories portfolio of courses. Is called Goal Getter. And this is in parallel to what I saw deficient in the classroom of kids not really coming in prepared of how they're going to perform. So we take the time to teach kids 6 core virtues, the 24 character traits that support these virtues, and then we define which ones are their value, which ones are their top character traits, and then how to create a goal portfolio of what they want to do for the next school year.
That's fascinating. I mean, again, a lot of one-on-one, but so essential to do that. So this is why each student is so excited and wants to be part of this, obviously, as opposed to just rolling their eyes and tuning out. So what do you think? But that is the key, right? So you're honing in on the positive points of every student and what they're looking for and what their goals are. So what do you think sets apart the best teachers? Because let's face facts, you and I both in growing up, and I'm a lot older, but you and I both growing up had teachers we loved and thought that were great, and some teachers who, were a little lacking. So what do you think sets apart the best teachers?
Absolutely. We all have that favorite teacher that, has affected our lives. So there's an interesting study done, and the number one factor for intrinsic motivation for students is one thing. That's the teacher's enthusiasm about the subject. Mm-hmm. So that's really what sets dynamic teachers apart. All teachers are working hard out there, and I really want to celebrate them today. But the one thing that sets really amazing teachers apart is the amount of personal joy and enthusiasm they have for the subject. And that's how I present at Kid Laboratories. But another thing I thought would be fun is to also during, National Teacher Day or World Teacher Day is to pause and reflect and look, where do we want future of education to go?
Hmm. That's interesting. And where is it going to go in the world of AI, et cetera? How much is going to be a student trying to learn or write papers with their AI? And I mean, that's a whole other subject on a whole other day. Tell us about a work
Sure, but I
story that.
did.
Go ahead, please talk.
So I just want to let you know, just for parents out there, because I'm a parent, I built all these courses for my kids, the Goal Getter, Financial Literacy, Money Wise. But I did
Mhm.
launch a new course called the AI Workshop, just so people know. That's available this next summer, 2026. And I taught it to over 1,000 students online last year. And that basically is the central tenets of AI, all of the science behind AI. We don't show the children how to use generative AI, but just the science behind it. We teach them what's missing in the development is ethics and best practices. So parents are out there are curious and want to, bridge this conversation. We do have a course that could support that learning in 2026.
I love it. Yeah, I get a kick out of AI on Google's. For instance, I've asked questions 3 times, 3 different ways, and I'll get totally different answers. Sometimes I get partial answers, full answers. So kids should not rely on AI for everything yet. It's not perfected, and I know it all depends on how you phrase a question too. But
Mhm.
one of the questions I asked somebody had asked me a couple of weeks ago, what do you think President Trump is going to do with Mayorkas from the last administration? You think he'll ever press charges? So I literally turned to Google and asked Gemini, which is Google's AI. You think that's a good AI? And I asked exactly that question. What will President Trump do to Mayorkas? Will there be any charges? The response was, there can't be any charges as President Trump is currently not the president of the United States. That was what
Huh.
Google's AI said. I thought, okay, I
Yeah.
took a screen grab. I posted it. And again, I was told by people at Google, it all depends on internet sources out there. It might have tapped in on a
Mhm.
particular source that said that. So it is what it is, but we just have to take it with a grain of salt. Tell us, if you can, about a work story that, say, illustrates when a student's mindset totally shifts when you see that moment where it shifts.
Oh, the aha moment. That's why we live and breathe in our teachers. A couple of them came to mind, and I have some of these on my Instagram if anyone wants to check them out. But I worked with a student. She was amazing. She came in with sensory processing disorders. That means her brain wasn't really able to, it took her a delay to understand the written word. And I met her when she was in 8th grade at my local church school, St. Peter's Catholic School. And so she came in with some delays. She was in my science class, and she was, an average C student. I worked with her. I developed something called Kid Coaching 101, kind of
Mhm.
leading the student into, being adaptable, seeing challenge as growth. And I kind of coached her along. I have to tell you this story. That year, she took, the science fair award. She got straight A's in my class. She was one of the only students who got 120 plus on one science test. And I just talked to her the other day, and I have to give a shout out to Isabella. She has an internship at Yale this summer. So it really is a critical age, though, that those middle school years, 11 to 14, to start to work with the student, let them know they're capable, and then give them these tools. It's the education is important 100%, but these other peripheral tools so they can grow into the person that they're really supposed to be is absolutely essential.
And what do you think schools can do right now to prepare students for life after graduation?
I know a lot of people are working with independent education consultants for prep. Future ready schools are absolutely imperative. The digital literacy, like the AI workshop, financial literacy. I'm a big proponent. I'm starting a new movement. I'm calling it STEM squared. That's STEM plus money. So having those real world skills, right? So they can just jump into the world that's out there and available to them, as well as working on your character. Who are you going to be in this world? Resilience, adaptability, critical thinking. If you'll see a number of different interviews today with top technological CEOs, and they're not necessarily, the number one skill defining future work is AI literacy. However, everything else under that is these new skills or skills we've always relied on: resilience, adaptability, creativity, but they're equally as important as the hard skills.
And we want to know how to find your podcast and what's a website for more information and to stay updated on the book release.
Please. Okay. So Spotify has kidlaboratories.com, be the light. Kidlaboratories.com is my website as well, at Kid Laboratories on Instagram. And then Future Proof Kids. And I just have to say this about the book because I'm so excited. It puts all of the courses that I teach online into one place so you can have these dynamic conversations with your kids. If you are nervous about doing that, because sometimes they have apprehension, we're not teachers at home, parents, I have inserted into every lesson 10 QR codes that you can watch a video lesson. So you can have this conversation with your child about AI, money, or character development. And if you wanted to support it with a video lesson, you can do that, as well as a workbook. So you can really put that learning to use in the written word. This is a great tool for grandparents. I've seen we've kind of doing some testing for the legacy conversation on finance. So it'd be a fun thing to pick up over the Christmas holiday and have as that interactive, intergenerational activity.
Love it. The name of the book again, Future Proof Kids. It'll be out this December. She's the founder of Kid Laboratories and host of the Future Proof Kids podcast. And this is Elena Zakharova, amazingly positive person. Thank you for joining us this morning, Elena.
Thanks so much for having me. I appreciate your time.
You bet. Thank you. It is now 8:01. Our temperature 51 degrees. You're watching ONNJ Mornings. And when we come back, big news for Jersey City's craft beer scene. You're going to want to tune in for that. We'll be right back. Very good morning, 8:01, Thursday, October 2nd, 2025. Welcome back to ONNJ Mornings. I'm Ken Rosato, taking calls at 888-658-0234. You will love today weather-wise. Here's meteorologist Mike Favetta to take another gold star. Good morning, Mike.
Oh, thank you. I know so many gold stars this week, right, Ken? We've got the sunshine this weekend, the clear sky today. This is great weather. If you missed growing the basil over the summer, now is a good time too. The basil likes this cool weather that's upcoming for the next few weeks. Strawberries too, always good. And then you can do a strawberry basil mocktail, right? It's just in time for fall if you're not into the pumpkin spice, because it feels like that pumpkin spice weather up in Sussex. 39 degrees right now, starting in the 50s and low 60s at the coast. That, of course, due to a little bit of a breeze off of the water. So that's why toward Morristown it's 9 degrees cooler than 8:02 a.m. yesterday, and the dew points are nice and low, which means the dry air is here to stay. So with the clear sky throughout this afternoon, the winds are light out of the north and east, not as breezy as yesterday. You'll notice a light breeze, but they're basically still calm, still air tomorrow, and that'll make for a nice fast warm up into the afternoon. So 60s on the way for today, another coolish afternoon, and then we're back in the 40s to start the day tomorrow, climbing quickly to the 70s later on in the day. Without much air movement, that sunshine is really going to warm up the dry air through the end of the day. Saturday sees a little bit of a warming trend as well, back in the 80s statewide, so we're again 10 degrees above average by the time we get to this weekend, and it stays warm as well for Sunday, with those temperatures running nice and mild, back in the 80s throughout the afternoon. So a pleasant feel, mostly clear sky, maybe some high thin clouds by the end of the weekend, but overall looking just great. The next few days featuring that warming trend, starting this morning in the 40s, climbing into the 60s, 70s tomorrow, 80s on Saturday, maybe get up to 81 by Sunday. That'll look nice. We'll tell you all about the chances of rain for next week, because there is nothing until then. Those details in a few minutes, Ken.
Look at you, all excited about that. All right, Mike, we appreciate you, sir. 48 degrees right now in North Jersey, and we have 51 in Trenton. It is 49 down in Cape May. In terms of traffic, we still have a lot of it. Crash with property damage, Garden State Parkway, right at the Rockland County border with New Jersey, exit 172, northbound Grand Avenue in Montvale. Left lane is blocked, and we have a crash on Route 38. Both directions by Mansion Boulevard, Pennsauken Township toward Philadelphia. All lanes are closed westbound, one left lane of the 3 lanes closed eastbound. Jersey Turnpike, three major issues going on right now. We have disabled bus on the Turnpike Eastern Spur northbound by interchange 15 WI 280. That's what you're looking at, the results of that right there. That's been there for about an hour, and it's causing massive problems. Second problem on the Turnpike, an overturned vehicle and vehicle off the roadway. Northbound Turnpike north of interchange 2, which is Route 322, East Greenwich Township. I just found out is in Gloucester. I did not realize there was an East Greenwich Township in New Jersey, but now I know. And we have a bus fire on the New Jersey Turnpike Eastern Spur northbound south of interchange 15X. So the other bus issue is 15W. This is 15X. And this is right by the Secaucus train station in Secaucus with the right lane blocked. What an absolute mess. The Hudson River crossings, a little bit heavy, 30 minutes at the Holland and the Lincoln, 35 minutes at the GWB, all because we still have, remember, gridlock alert week in effect till Friday in Manhattan. Try to avoid driving in if you can. Avoid the Upper East Side. Work from home if you can. 8:05 is our time. Big news for Jersey City's craft beer scene. Departed Souls Brewing Company has just been named the #1 gluten-free beer in America again. For the third year in a row, their fan favorite beer, A Dark Night, topped a national panel and consumer vote as part of USA Today's 10 Best competition. Owner and head brewer Brian Kolbacki joins us now. Good morning to you, Brian.
Good morning, Ken. Thank you for having me.
Well, it's good to be on with you. Look, I used to make wines, and I know there's a passion that goes into mixing certain grains and coming out with the outcome. So the passion, I feel it. I can see based on what you do to win the awards you have, you put in a lot of time and sampled a lot of beer. So tell us about, and that's a good thing. Tell us about the brewery you created as an homage to your close friend who died of celiac disease. And it's become a national leader in gluten-free craft beer, right?
Yeah, we started exactly 10 years ago. We're actually celebrating our 10th anniversary Halloween weekend of this year. When I started out the brewery, or when I planned on starting out the brewery, it was going to be 100% gluten-free, but kind of realized the market wasn't ready for it at the time. And sort of over the last 10 years, the market's evolved, the gluten-free consumer base has changed, and so have the ingredients that we've been able to get. And through that all, we've been able to create gluten-free beers that actually taste like the traditional beers that people are used to drinking before they get their diagnosis. And it's been pretty amazing to go on this little journey and be able to do something that kind of carries my friend's legacy onward to all these people that don't have a clue who he was.
So so your friend had celiac, and that disease ultimately took his life, correct?
Well, he was diagnosed with celiac about a year before he passed away. He was a teacher at Bridgewater Raritan High School, also worked at Salt Creek Grill in Princeton. I had a lot of brewing and bartending experience, and we kind of dreamt about combining both of our history, both of our backgrounds, into creating some sort of niche brew pub together. He passed away in a car accident commuting between those jobs Halloween weekend of 2010. So a lot of our anniversaries try and coincide with important dates in his life. We distributed our first keg on what would have been his 24th birthday. This year we're celebrating our 10th anniversary on more or less would have been the 15th anniversary of him passing away. So it's kind of sad. It's kind of morbid, obviously, but when you're doing something in memory of your best friend, I think you have to find a way to put a positive spin on things and find a way to celebrate these dates. And thankfully, our community, the gluten-free community in Jersey City, the craft beer community as a whole has really embraced who we are and that inspiration behind all these gray hairs.
Yeah. Oh, how sad. I mean, yes, certainly it's sad that he lost his life, but you're celebrating life. When people come to a pub or a brewery, it's they want to unwind and they want to leave the stresses at the door. So I think what you're doing is a beautiful thing. It's a nice way to celebrate the life that he led and the memories and stuff. That's a nice thing. I have to ask you about the spelling of souls, Soles, because right away you hear souls and you think it's Souls in honor of your friend, but Soles is the plural in Spanish of sons. What's the connection there?
So it's actually another way of sort of paying homage to Chris and to my family background. My parents met as first responders down in East Brunswick. They have a business down there. But Chris and I had a propensity whenever we were out, let's just say having a good time at local establishments. One of us tended to purchase a ridiculous pair of sneakers on the way. So if you look closely, I don't know which shoulder it is, this one. It's actually written as a shoelace font. And when we were coming up with a name for the brewery, didn't necessarily want it to be a callback to something so sad. And somebody had suggested Departed Souls, SOULS, to mean it's just a little too morbid for me still. So I thought a fun way to do it would be to tie in the sneaker thing with SOLES. And then we also say the Statue of Liberty. She kind of stands for what we stand for here at Departed Souls. We're not some hype craft brewery. We're not chasing whatever the trendy styles are at any given time. We brew gluten-free beer. We also brew traditional beer, but she's a symbol for a home for everybody. She's a symbol for people that left something comfortable behind and chased a dream. And that's what we did starting Departed Souls. We chased our dream, left jobs that paid us well to do this. And with our tap list, we try and create a home for everybody. Our gluten-free cans say, we brew these beers in memory of Chris to celebrate the camaraderie around craft beer. It's exactly what you were saying, Ken.
I love it.
You drink to unwind, you drink to hang out, you drink to be around your friends and tell stories. And that's what our tap list is designed for. And that's why we brew gluten-free beer, because they deserve those same opportunities and those same stories and those same ridiculous pairs of sneakers on their walk home.
I think that's really
sweet. We just want to be an inclusive home.
That's a great story, Brian. I love that. Now, what makes it gluten-free? Is it that you just don't have wheat? Are there other grains that you have to avoid brewing with to keep it gluten-free? Because I know corn is non-gluten, right? You could put corn in there, but you can't use wheat.
Corn and oats are shared ingredients between traditional beers and gluten-free beers. All of our ingredients in our gluten-free beers come certified gluten-free. We're one of the only breweries in America, and possibly the only brewery in America, that brews both traditional and gluten-free beer in the same facility. We have dedicated gluten-free tanks. We have a dedicated gluten-free canning line. All the way down to the yeast that we use is dedicated gluten-free. But we're using things like sorghum, millet, buckwheat, quinoa, oats. A lot of that's organic. Pretty much all of our gluten-free ingredients are grown and malted here in the United States of America. Whereas a lot of our traditional ingredients of beer, come from Europe, come from Canada, also come from America. But it comes down to that. We have a proprietary cleaning process that we use on all of our shared equipment to make sure that the beer is safe. And we test every batch to make sure that before it goes into packaging, it's safe for consumers. So there are some breweries that will use like an enzyme to dilute the gluten more or less in their beer. We don't mess around with that. We're 100% gluten-free from start to finish. And we take the consumer's health and safety is paramount to everything.
I'm so glad because I know there are some pizzerias that have the best of intentions and they offer gluten-free pizza, but they don't realize they're using the same board where they're stretching out. We used to have a pizzeria, that's why I know. They're using the same board where they just used wheat to make a gluten-free crust. You can't do that, or they're not changing gloves or whatever, and so you have the wheat on the gloves, and you can't mess around. Somebody with celiac gets violently ill as a reaction to the protein in glutens. I don't have to tell you that. So it's not a joke. And if you're going to say gluten-free, you're making a medicinal claim to keep people safe. So God bless you for taking it as seriously as you should. And I appreciate that. A Dark Night topped a national panel and consumer vote as part of USA Today's 10 Best competition 3 years in a row. That is a big deal. So what was that like?
It's amazing, honestly. There's a ton of competitions you can enter beer into. We don't have a choice to enter this contest. They have a panel of experts that select the beers. We had 2 beers that have been selected the last 2 years. And then once they narrow it down, it's the consumers that get to choose what they feel the best gluten-free beer in America is, as opposed to if you send it to one of these big international contests, you're shipping beer across the country or to a different continent even. People are judging hundreds of beers throughout the day in a stuffy room. So you don't really know. You trust that they're in a proper state of mind, but you don't know that.
Mhm.
So to have the consumers that have tried most of these beers come back and say, Departed Souls Dark Knight is the number one beer in America. Our Birdie Juice, our gluten-free Kolsch, that we added to our repertoire about 3 years ago, that came in second place this year. It won last year. And it's rewarding to know that the consumers appreciate it the way that they do. You have things like versions of Yelp, for rating beer and such these days. And non-gluten-free people like to take little jabs at our brewery on there. Going back 10 years ago when we opened, people laughed at us when I said I was opening up a gluten-free brewery. And we still don't even make, top 30 breweries in New Jersey list because we're gluten-free. And people still laugh about it. But to the people that it matters to, the people that drink it, to be number one is sort of like uplifting, I guess. It's to receive this award. I kind of joke, making a Batman reference. Maybe it's not the hero we deserve, but it's the beer we need right now. And in these tough times for hospitality, like to win an award like this, it keeps you going and it keeps you hopeful that better times are ahead for everybody.
Amen. Hey, look, you know what? It's your life and your business and your customers to screw everybody else in plain English. If they don't like it and they want to screw
I
them.
didn't know if I was allowed to say that.
Yeah, we could say so. It's a streaming show. I say even worse, believe me, Brian. I am so excited for you, and I'm proud to be a fellow New Jersey person. I'm proud of you. If I sound like a dad, I think what you're doing is a beautiful thing, and I love the passion. I love what you're doing. It's your 10-year anniversary. What do you got special planned for it?
Like I said, we're all about community and we're all about giving back. So we're starting it off with our first ever breast cancer golf outing on October 30th. Breast cancer has touched my family very, very closely. So we're doing our first ever golf outing for that. And then that night, like I said, we're all about inclusivity. So we're actually going to debut not only a traditional, but a gluten-free craft beer that is non-alcoholic. It's our first foray into this. It's going to be super limited, but again, I really strive to have something for everybody in our tasting room. So we're going to have 4 varieties that we're going to try and rotate through the weekend and hope we find a winner there. Moving on to Friday, we're always dog friendly here. So we're going to have live music. We're going to have a doggy costume contest. We've got an imperial stout that we've been aging in a whiskey barrel and a maple bourbon barrel for a year. And live music, of course, support the local music scene. Saturday, Boston College, my alma mater, is playing Notre Dame. Huge rivalry game, even though BC is not doing so hot right now. But we're going to have an official game watch of BC supporting and releasing a sangria sour, 2 sangria sours, a red sangria and a white sangria. So if you're not a beer fan, we're going to have something kind of for you that day. And finally, on Sunday, we are doing our second ever Catter Day. This is a day where we are no longer dog friendly. We are cat friendly. People can bring their well-behaved, whether they're in leashes, carriers, whatever you want. We will be cat friendly for the day. We'll have some local vendors. We've done it once before. It was absolutely insane. It was absolutely crazy. People from all over the tri-state area were traveling for it. Take your road cat out. Take your backpack cat out and have a beer with it.
You're a crazy man. You know that.
That's absolutely true.
I have one quick question on parting. Do you have alcohol-free beers?
So we're that Thursday we will be debuting on the 30th of October. We will be debuting our first ever non-alcoholic, both traditional and gluten-free. We do have like sodas and stuff in the brewery. We also have like light snacks, de minimis snacks available, but people are welcome to bring in food with them, order food from the brewery. And hopefully one of these non-alcoholic beers stick on the 30th and we can bring that into the lineup full time.
Yeah, I stopped drinking about 10 years ago. But I would definitely come and do your non-alcoholic in a heartbeat. I love non-alcoholic beers, and I've learned, I know, I won't mention some of the other companies. There are some big ones out there that take their non-alcoholic very seriously or low alcohol. But I appreciate the fact that you have everybody in mind, and it's very kind that you're doing that. What's your website?
We're at jerseycity.beer. It's the simplest way to remember it.
That's a great web address. Awesome. jerseycity.beer. Owner and head brewer Brian Kulbacki at Jersey City's Departed Souls Brewing Company. Please come back again. I'm excited for you, and it's wonderful what you're doing in the community. Have a wonderful day and a great celebration.
Thank you, Ken. You too. We'll keep you posted on those NA beers.
Please, appreciate it. All right, Pam, let us forego, if we can. Let's forego break here. He defines man on the street reporting, and he has spoken with over 1,000 celebs in the past 5 years. We're going to talk with Todd Wharton coming up next. Right now, though, straight to meteorologist Mike Favetta with the Garden State forecast. Mike, good morning, sir.
Good morning, Ken. Beautiful day, maybe to crack one of those beers open. Looking beautiful throughout the afternoon and stays dry into the end of the day. Notice with the alerts that are around right now, the only thing are those shades of purple offshore. That is the gale force winds that'll still be around through this afternoon due to the gusty nature of the breezes at the shore. But beyond that, everywhere else across New Jersey, it is dry, it is sunny, and it remains clear with cloud-free conditions statewide. So we zoom into central New Jersey today with temperatures that started in the 40s and are quickly climbing into the 60s by this afternoon. We get to that 65 degrees by about 2 o'clock today. So it'll feel nice and warm and dry throughout the afternoon hours, not as windy as yesterday, even there by Trenton and Princeton, over through Flemington and Clinton. Lots of sunshine statewide. So it'll feel dry. It'll be another lovely day with that clear air, not only today, but for the next several days, because there's several rounds of high pressure that come in from the north and east and ultimately meander their way down across New Jersey, influencing our weather over the next several days. Even these clouds you see over the Midwest, not an issue for us. They dissipate by the time that moves over New Jersey into this weekend. So anticipate the dry weather that remains, clear and unlimited visibility today, tomorrow, into Friday and Saturday, and I think even Sunday looking nice as well. Looking beyond that into Monday, because there's really nothing going on this weekend, I think our first opportunity to see some clouds will be probably throughout Tuesday into Wednesday, when some rain may come in by the middle of next week. So it really takes its time moving in, gives us some light showers throughout the day Wednesday, clearing for Thursday, and then we have another round of dry weather that comes in through the end of next week. So it's a very calm pattern, a very October pattern, where this weather system just sits on top of us, keeps our skies nice and clear, and as is pretty evident with the weekend forecast, look at how dry that is. 80 this weekend on Saturday and 81 on Sunday, with that beautifully dry start and nice warm finish. So Ken, lots of great weather to enjoy, sunny skies all around, and we keep it into next week too, with maybe some meat 80s by the time we get to Tuesday in some parts of New Jersey. We'll tell you where, coming up with the 7-day forecast, and give you those rain chances too in a few minutes.
All right, Mike, much appreciated. It is 8:22 right now, 49 degrees in northern New Jersey and 53 degrees in Trenton. We have 50 degrees down in Vineland. In terms of traffic, we have a lot of that. A crash on the New Jersey Turnpike Outer Roadway right now, northbound north of Interchange 13, which is by the Goethals Bridge in Elizabeth, with the center lane blocked. That's causing a mess. And we have a disabled bus on the Turnpike Eastern Spur northbound by Interchange 15 WI 280 in Kearney. Center lane is blocked, and look at the ongoing mess this has been causing for a good chunk of the morning. We have a crash with property damage, Garden State Parkway northbound at exit 172. That's right in Montvale at the border with Rockland County. So literally at the border, there's property damage and a crash. That's causing a mess for folks heading north into Rockland. A crash on Route 38, both directions at Mansion Boulevard, Pennsauken Township near Philadelphia. All lanes are closed, westbound, and one lane closed eastbound, and an overturned vehicle off the roadway, New Jersey Turnpike northbound, north of Interchange 2, which is Route 322 East Greenwich Township. That's in Gloucester Township. All lanes are currently open. Remember, gridlock alert day is in effect today and tomorrow still, because the UN is still in town, even though the world leaders are not here anymore. You still have ambassadors causing a lot of traffic. So try to avoid driving in, work from home, or use mass transit if you can, and certainly avoid the Upper East Side. The Hudson River crossings, 30 minutes at the Lincoln and the Holland, and 35 to 40 at the GWB. 23, if there is an event going on anywhere in New York City, you will find a guy named Todd Wharton there. Todd is the creator and host of FaceTime with Todd Wharton, now in its 5th season. You can find it on YouTube and a number of other platforms. In all my years at Channel 7, if I was at the opening of an envelope, Todd was there before and after, with a camera and a microphone, interviewing everybody. I have never seen anybody who is on top of all things New York like this guy. Let's bring him on now. Todd Wharton, good morning. Good to have you on.
Hey, Ken, how are you today? Thanks for having me, sir.
Good to have you on. And literally, it sounds like hyperbole, but if there was an event anywhere, How the hell is it that you would get to every single event before anyone else, stay there through and stay there after, and manage to get every interview with every person? How do you do it? Where do you get the energy?
First of all, I love what I do. And I think this industry, what I think most people need to understand is to get to people like you and everybody else, it's about building relationship over the years. I think that's one of the major things that are missing in any business is people want everything now instead of letting people get to know who you are. And over the years, I met everybody in the industry, music, entertainment, politics. And now that I come to an event, I'm kind of welcome with open arms, and they know they're going to get a good, fun, informative interview. And that's what interviews should be, like what me and you are doing now, not Q&As. It's two great people having a conversation that really respect each other. And that's something I built with myself and my team.
And it does take time. You're right, because there's so many people doing podcasts today. There are millions, literally millions of podcasts, and
Yeah,
everybody could just put on a hat and say I'm a podcaster, and I have my computer or my phone or whatever, and I'm on. So how does an individual, especially somebody in a large celebrity status, say a Jimmy Kimmel or a Fallon, whom you've interviewed, how does somebody
yeah,
like that know the difference? Well, it takes time, right? They have to know that you're not posing a threat and you're not going to ask the wrong question. And yet
yeah.
you're still going to ask questions that people will be interested in.
Yeah, exactly. Like, if people don't know, I interviewed you a few years ago and it went so smooth. And the reason why I'm bringing that up is I always tell people if you're going to interview celebrities, they don't need to interview with you because they're already at that status. But if they respect you and you come to the table that you know who they are and you do your research, the interview goes much better. You open up your personality, and I like making people laugh. I've been blessed to become friends with a lot of great celebrities today in all aspects of all industries. And John Amos, God bless him, up in heaven, became a really good friend of mine. He took his time with the Sun on a show I did, and he was telling people that this is the next phase of late night. And it was such an honor and a blessing for him to say that to me because that's what the premises of the show was going to. Now going into our fifth season, we are blessed now to be asked to do the Emmys, Time 100, all the parades, and we want to give the industry a new type of interview, because it's very hard to get on that plateau of such esteemed people like Fallon and Kimmel. And I'm honored to be able to interview those guys as well, because it's about supporting one another. But they're seeing that, hey, there's a new person that may take on the reins of what we're doing. We're honored to happen. And I'm honored to even get those blessings. So even to be able to talk to somebody like you, Ken, I've been following you for a long time. There's no surprise why you're an Emmy Award winner and respected journalist. It's because you know what you're doing. You have a good look about yourself. You're very intelligent. You do your research, and people enjoy talking to you on a daily basis. So if I can even go half that route in what I'm looking to do, I've won already. So
I should just let everybody know my mother gave a check to Todd to say all that. So just so everybody's aware. I hope it was over $100 this time, Todd. No, that's very
now
kind of you to
tell
say
her it bounced, by the way. Tell her the check bounced, and I'm not too happy about that because
that. I
I had to
will.
end up washing dishes because my credit card didn't work, and it was just really messed up. So
Hey, Todd, I got news for you. My credit card doesn't work these days either. I'll tell you, that's where we are today. What? Let
exactly,
me
exactly.
because you people who think they could just like set up the phone. Now I'm a podcaster. It's so much more. You have a team of people you've amassed, and
Yeah,
you, like I said, you have taken the time. I ask you something. What did you
yeah.
do professionally before you did FaceTime?
I actually was a GM, manager, runner in the restaurant industry for over 30 years. So I got to
Interesting.
meet so many celebrities, artists. I created a networking event that became number one in New York. It was averaging 400 people a month, bringing together the entire industry, like everybody from culinary artists to actors, you name it, the industry, because that's what networking was missing. Actors don't want to meet actors; they want to meet everybody, even politicians and news journalists, because the art and entertainment industry is 95% of the world. But then when COVID hit, my company died, like completely
Mhm.
died. So like everybody else, I was trying to figure out, and one day somebody was like, "Hey Todd, you're really good on the red carpet. That's what you were doing at your events. Why don't you try to start interviewing?" And I said, "You know what? I really like doing it." I decided, let me learn the industry. So I learned how to direct, write, produce, sing, dance, studied everybody from news journalists to daytime and nighttime shows, critique my comedic stance. And from all that, I created a profile of a new talk show host, and people seem to really like it a lot. So it wasn't just an overnight thing, it was something that fell into my lap. And I always tell people, learn from somebody like Betty White. You're never too old to come back, you're never too old to find your passion, because if you're not living a passionate life, then who's left you living? And that's something that me and my team stand by.
All right, so we could find you only because we're out of time now, Todd. But I would love to talk more about this with you. Where do they find you? Because you're on Instagram, you're on YouTube, you have a bunch of platforms. FaceTime with Todd Wharton, Wharton. Tell people all the platforms.
Sure. So Instagram is the best place right now. You can go to Todd Wharton Official. That's the best way to follow everything. Or obviously our website, FaceTimeWithToddWharton.com. Everything is there. It's a very easy site to manage. And yeah, pretty simple.
I love it. And you get to see all your team that you work with too, which is great. You guys do a lot of editing. I mean, people think it just magically appears. It takes time to shoot, edit, put it
Yeah.
all together. It takes a lot of time. And you have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of videos. It's just
Oh,
amazing all the interviews you did. I just know that there are those of us who watch, as I know you know, but who have actually gone through all your videos and you're very good at what you do. We've got
thank
to
you.
have you back
Appreciate it.
on. No, it's
Yeah, of
it's a lot of
course.
work. A lot of
Yeah.
work. So he is the creator and host of FaceTime with Todd Wharton, now in its fifth season. Todd, thank you again, my friend, for coming on today.
Thank you, Ken. Enjoy the rest of your day, sir.
You too. It is now 8:31. We have 49 degrees. Hoboken steps up its arts education in a big way when we come back. The phone lines are open, 888-658-0234. You're watching on New Jersey Mornings. We'll be right back. Good morning. It is Thursday, October 2nd, 2025. We have 51 degrees at 8:32. I'm Ken Rosato. Welcome back to On New Jersey Mornings. Sunshine today, straight to meteorologist Mike Favetta. Upper 60s, really crisp and fall-like, right?
Very crisp and fall-like. Lovely way to start the day. It'll be nice and sunny through this afternoon. Nothing more than some high, thin clouds out to sea. And that's what's showing up on the visible satellite, these little streaks in the clouds. And these are actually called cloud streets, following the direction of the wind. And that's that northeasterly breeze that's blowing out over the open ocean. It's actually a little bit of convection from the Gulf Stream, which is a couple hundred miles offshore. So our forecast today brings back lots of sunshine, temperatures climbing from the 40s now into the 60s by this afternoon. It'll be a rapid warm up, getting just to about our average high, 72, 73 degrees across the urban areas of the state. I think most of New Jersey stays in the upper 60s this afternoon. Watching the remnants of Imelda swing out to sea, picked up by the jet stream. It's now the ocean's problem, and we look forward to the dry, sunny weather for the rest of the day. So, with our forecast staying a little breezy this afternoon, not as gusty as it has been. I think a little bit of a southeasterly breeze by tomorrow, with those winds switching direction and bringing back some more of a southwesterly wind by Saturday. That brings up the humidity, and it will feel lovely by the time we get to Saturday afternoon. Again, back in the low 80s. It's all due to this big high that's sinking down across New Jersey and allowing for that air to remain nice and still for tomorrow. Also brings back a lovely amount of sunshine and warmer weather into the weekend. Look how warm it gets for Saturday and Sunday. Low 80s. It stays in the 80s for Monday. Clear sky all around until Tuesday. That's when some clouds could return in advance of a little bit of wet weather by Wednesday. It's just some scattered showers throughout the day, forecast by the middle of next week. We're running dry down the shore as well. Not much activity there. Saturday and Sunday both looking clear. And then throughout early next week, Monday, Tuesday, see a little bit of a warming trend, but not by much. You have that cooler ocean breeze that tends to keep the coast a little bit cooler. That also allowed for a little bit of rain to fall there over the last few weeks, which is why the drought is not as bad at the coast. We will detail the new drought forecast update. Just came in. Give you those details in just a few minutes.
All right, very important. Thank you so much, Mike. And in terms of traffic, we have a disabled bus still on the New Jersey Turnpike Western Spur, northbound south of interchange 15W, which is I-280 Newark. The right lane is blocked, so you see these two extremes, the left side and the right side, they merge up ahead by the Pulaski Skyway off to the right, and that's where you have this issue. This crash has been, or this disabled bus rather, has been there for well over an hour, causing just a nightmare of traffic for everybody on that part of the turnpike. Again, Western Spur northbound, south of interchange 15W I-280 in Newark. We have a crash just popped up at Route 129 southbound by Layler Street in Hamilton Township. The right shoulder's closed, causing a lot of traffic through there. And we have a crash on the turnpike outer roadway north of interchange 13 I-278 Goethals Bridge in Elizabeth with the center lane blocked. Staying on the turnpike, disabled bus. Eastern Spur northbound by 15W. So you have a problem at 15X and a problem at 15W. Crash on the Garden State Parkway with property damage northbound right at the Rockland County border in Montvale, exit 172. And we have delays on 1 and 9 northbound from north of I-78. And that goes down to north of Raymond Boulevard in Newark, just bumper to bumper traffic through there. That's just morning drive stuff. Our issues we still have at the Hudson River, 30 to 35 Holland and Lincoln tunnels into Manhattan, and it's about 35 to 40 right now, GWB upper and lower roadways. And remember, we still have a gridlock alert week in effect until this Friday. 8:36 is our time. And this fall, Hoboken is stepping up its commitment to arts education in a big way. The city is expanding its popular youth art programs to include more classes, more locations, and new offerings for special needs students. Joining us now is Annie McAdams, Creative Director and Public Art Administrator for Hoboken's Department of Cultural Affairs, to talk about the programs and what families can look forward to. Good morning to you, Annie.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Well, good to have you on. Why is now the time for Hoboken's arts program to expand?
Well, we started small in the spring of 2024 with 2 classes, and we've been growing the classes summer, fall, winter, spring since. So we went from 2 classes to 3 weeks in the summer to 8 classes last year, and now we're offering 21 classes. So
Wow.
our mandate is that arts is for everybody, and we're really excited to offer more for Hoboken youth.
And it's such an art-filled town. I mean, there's music. You got the beautiful inspiration of the skyline of New York right in front of you. Hoboken is the closest point from New Jersey to Manhattan. It's only, I guess, a mile right across the river, that unobstructed view.
Yeah.
Now, it's beautiful. It's an amazing town, full of soul. You've added new offerings for children and young adults with special needs. So why was that such an important priority?
Well, we offered 1 class last fall, and that was a parent who was teaching for us who said, I would like to offer a class for special needs kids. And we were like, of course, we would love that. And the feedback from the parents was so positive. They were just really delighted to have more enrichment in our town that was accessible and affordable. So we grew that in the spring, and now I'm so proud we're offering 7 classes that are specifically for special needs kids.
I love it. And you introduce art to children as young as a year old. So what kind of art do you introduce to a year-old child?
Well, everything is art to a child who's one, right? Like kids are natural artists. We're all natural artists, really. So you can do music, you can do painting, you can play creative games, right, with storytelling. It's really, there's no limit, right, to what you can do with young kids because their imaginations are so vibrant and fertile. And, ideally, we're doing that for everyone as they age as well, right? We're letting them know that arts are an important part of life, right? Creative expression. So it starts when you're young and it goes from there.
I have a friend who's an amazing artist, an amazing painter from Los Angeles. And he says that art is a human's ability to make an impression on the world that lasts beyond his or her life. And he said, I like to look at my paintings as the imprint of the snapshot that's in my head, because there's no way to do that electronically right now. Someday there will be a way to imprint it electronically, but for now, I got to use my hand and paint it out. So I found that fascinating, just a great insight into the way the artistic brain works. Now, your lineup includes creative writing, sewing, fashion, upcycling. How do these programs help build skills?
Well, you're right, right? Art is a way of understanding the world we live in, and it's a way of expressing what we're experiencing personally as well as what we see in the world around us. So you can do that in any format, right? It doesn't, you can do that with paint, you can do that with fabric, you can do that with words, with song, with music. Additionally, exposure to the arts and engagement in the arts just teaches so many other life skills that are transferable to any uh, any experience, any situation. So understanding how to communicate, understanding how to work with other people, problem solving, figuring out trial and error, making mistakes until you are where you want to be with what you're working on. So it's really life skills.
Indeed. And you're offering sensory focused programs too. You have Sound Bath Social. Talk about that and movement based classes. So, what kind of feedback have you gotten about these very therapeutic approaches?
Well, the sound bath in particular is new this semester, so I'm very excited for that, and I'm really hoping that everybody takes us up on this offering because it's an opportunity for emotional regulation as well as to sit and socialize with other people. So part of the problem that I think special needs kids are facing, but also all kids are facing, is that we don't have enough FaceTime interaction in real life with other people so that we're looking at people in the eye, we're reading facial expressions, we're understanding what's happening in the room in the moment. And so this class is an opportunity for kids to work on that.
I love that. So, is it what it sounds like, sound bath? Is it an immersion of sound and the response that you get? Is that I'm just guessing?
It is. It's an immersion of sound and then noticing what that does to your body. How do you respond physiologically to the sounds that you're hearing and the atmosphere that's being created?
So, for people who don't realize that certain frequencies impact various aspects of your brain and your body, right? I mean, this is not just this isn't artistic, if I may be disrespectful, gobbledygook. This is real science that frequencies impact certain brain waves. They help you sleep, they help you regulate your metabolism, etc. This is a fascinating thing, and I love the fact that you're delving into that and letting people experience it because this can help people regulate their lives, their health. How important do you believe it is to have the community collaborate together with you in these programs?
It is paramount. That's such a great question. We believe at Cultural Affairs, at the Hoboken Division of Cultural Affairs, that art is for everyone. And that's not only one's exposure to art, right? And the opportunity to engage with art, but also to support artists and to let young people know that you can have a career in the arts, that there are many, many ways to support yourself artistically, and that you have to be exposed in order to start.
Hmm. And how can qualifying families who have financial challenges take advantage of lower costs?
All of our classes are free to families that qualify for free and reduced lunch. And they can go to our website, which is hobokenrecdesk.com, to see our programs and sign up.
How perfect. And what a perfect community to be doing this in. Annie McAdams, Creative Director and Public Art Administrator for Hoboken's Department of Cultural Affairs. That's what sets apart a community, is something like this, because otherwise it's just another municipality. To have something as special as this, as unique as this, is just a blessing. So thank you for doing what you do. And thank you to Hoboken for having you and do this. So thank you for joining us. Please come back again, Annie. It's nice to have you on.
Thank you so much for having me.
You bet. Enjoy your day. 8:44 right now. We have 51 degrees. When we come back, it's one of the deadliest forms of cancer. And hundreds of people will get together to raise tens of thousands of dollars to help find a cure. It is the 2025 Pancreatic Cancer Walk for the Cure. I've taken part in that walk many times in the past. Great people. Mostly sunny today, highs upper 60s. Meteorologist Mike Favetta comes back in just a moment. You're watching On New Jersey Mornings. Don't go away.
Hi, I'm Jeanette Hoffman, host of Energy Matters. Join me every night at 6 p.m. where we're discussing energy affordability, challenges, and solutions with stakeholders and elected officials. Join me weekdays at 6 p.m. on Energy Matters on ONNJ.
Welcome back to On New Jersey Mornings. I'm Ken Rosato, 846, taking calls at 888-658-0234. Lots of sun today, a crisp fall day, highs upper 60s. Straight to meteorologist Mike Favetta. Final look at the Garden State forecast. Good morning, Mike.
Good morning, Ken. A really pretty day. Shaping up to be lovely with the sunshine now warming us well into the upper 60s across northern New Jersey. Jersey City, a fine view of the skyline, 67 degrees for you, 67 in Newark, and even back over toward Morristown, right up Route 24. Not anticipating too much of the cloud cover today, and certainly not much in the way of heat either. A look of the drought monitor shows a little bit of an extension of this moderately dry level of drought, which is working its way through northern New Jersey, and a little bit popped up here over toward Trenton, over in Mercer County. The rest of the state, southern part of the state, faring okay, especially where most of our crops are grown down toward the southwestern corner. But again, it's the northern half of the state that still is in that moderate drought because of the lack of any substantial rainfall, about half of average over the last 30 days, culminating in about a 2 to 4 inch rainfall deficit now extending right down through West Orange and there through Livingston and then back over through portions of Sparta and back over to the north and west. So we keep it nice and clear in the Atlantic Basin, lots of clear sky there. Not much development of any tropical activity, even though you see that yellow shade. There's a low chance of development over the next several days, so something to watch, but not really to worry about. It's the dry, persistent warmth that keeps us very warm, at least through the middle of October, even with equal chances of rainfall. And again, this time of year, we don't usually get much rain, so I think we'll stay dry, at least going into the first few weeks of October. The 7-day forecast has us dry through the first part of next week, with highs in the low 80s going into Monday and Tuesday, and then by Wednesday, bringing back the chance of some light rain, probably scattered showers throughout the day. So with our forecast pointing toward, again, a mild feel throughout Saturday and Sunday, it's all about that sunshine going into next weekend. Lots of clear weather until Wednesday, our next opportunity to see some light rain.
All right. Well, we do need that rain, so let's hope it comes. Maybe Mother Nature will surprise us, and we won't know about it until it happens. So we keep our fingers crossed. Thank you, Mike. Appreciate it. 8:48 right now. Enjoy your day. 8:48, 53 degrees right now, northern New Jersey, and in Trenton, it's 51 down in Cape May and 50 in help Pam What's the name of the town down south? There we go. Pam's like, just do traffic. I'm trying to think of the other town down south. We have a disabled bus to tell you about. New Jersey Turnpike Eastern Spur northbound by interchange 15 WI 280 in Kearney with the center lane blocked. So these two lateral lanes, these merge up ahead by the Pulaski Skyway, and that's where they are encountering that problem. We have a crash also on the New Jersey Turnpike. 3 different problems on the Turnpike. Crash now in the outer roadway northbound north of interchange 13, which is I-278 by the Goethals Bridge in Elizabeth with the center lane blocked. And we have a crash also on 129 southbound by Layler Street in Hamilton Township with the right shoulder closed. Back to the Turnpike, disabled bus, Turnpike Western Spur northbound, south of interchange 15W, which is I-280 in Newark. The right lane closed there, and a crash on the Garden State with property damage northbound at exit 172, which is up in Montvale by the border with Rockland County. Your Hudson River crossings all pretty much, actually not as bad as they could be, but pretty much 35 minutes across for any of them. Still have a gridlock alert week in effect through tomorrow because the UN General Assembly is still in session, even though the world leaders aren't here. Try to use mass transit. Don't go to the Upper East Side, or if you do, carpool if you have to drive in, because it will be trafficy once you get into Manhattan. 8:49, folks in Middlesex County are coming together once again to fight one of the deadliest forms of cancer. It's the 2025 Pancreatic Cancer Walk for the Cure. It'll be held this Saturday, October 4th, at Roosevelt Park in Edison. Proceeds will go to support pancreatic cancer research at Rutgers Cancer Institute. And joining us now is Lester Jones, Health Officer and Director of the Middlesex County Office of Health Services, to tell us why this cause matters so much to the county. Good morning, Lester.
Good morning, Ken. Thank you for having me today.
Oh, nice to have you on. What is the history of the Walk for the Cure?
So this is our 14th year in doing the Walk for the Cure. We have partnered with the Cancer Institute in New Jersey through all those years, and all of the proceeds from the walk go directly to cancer research. We've been fortunate enough that over those 14 years, we have raised in excess of $215,000 to help, again, for that research to find a cure for this devastating disease.
And pancreatic cancer is it's so highlighted by the residents of Middlesex County, but why specifically in Middlesex?
Well, in Middlesex, we've had the opportunity, a number of our, let's say, Middlesex County family. This started out of an initiative that our Commissioner Director, Ron Rios, this touched his family, and it's touched many other families over those 14 years that we've been together, including in our office here, health services, and one of our colleagues, just a wonderful person, full of life, lost his life to pancreatic cancer. And because of this, and it's a disease that a lot of times goes unnoticed. And because of that, we've made it a special calling for us to continue this and to raise these funds, and hopefully sometime in the near future have a way to end this disease.
Yeah, and you mentioned that it goes unnoticed all too often. I know that in many cases, just from having taken part in some of your walkathons with the organization in the past, that when you finally do get symptoms, it's too late. And that's part of the problem. It's not like there are early onset symptoms that you need to be watching. It's sort of like you're fine, then you have the symptoms, and it's kind of too late at that point. It's a horrible, horrible cancer. The good news is, because of research, because of fundraising activities like you've done, the survival rate 5 years out, I know, has gone from 4% to 8%. And while that doesn't sound like a lot, that's a very big deal. Because they have some treatments they're working on, and they have been doing a lot of studies now. So, but again, that's all because of good people like you and your organization there to raise money. That's essential. What are some of the key warning signs or risk factors that people should be aware of, nonetheless, because of the danger of this disease?
Yeah, and again, it's not the fact that it does not show. Usually, some of the signs are that you may see early on are jaundice, light colored stools, dark urine, pain in the upper middle part of the abdomen, weight loss for no reason, loss of appetite, and fatigue. These are signs and symptoms that a lot of times may mimic something else. People may ignore them. And with that being the fact, and also, a lot of the risk factors, some of them are based on age, they're based on gender, race, and genetics. And then there are other risk factors such as, smoking, weight, weight management, obesity, diabetes. These are all things that they're risk factors. Obviously, obesity and smoking, these are things that we can change our lifestyles that will help us, but then some of them you cannot change. So it's important that, we go ahead and we move ahead and we tell people about the disease and we educate people about the disease. This is what we do all the time with this particular cancer and many other cancers here at the Office of Health Services. But what we're doing coming up this Saturday is so important to bring people together, and so important that we get the word out about the disease, and hopefully people try to identify it earlier so that they can go through these treatments and new innovations in treating pancreatic cancer that are coming up. And again, over the last 14 years that we've been involved in this, has been that doubling of that survival number.
Mhm.
So it's making a difference.
Absolutely. And as you mentioned, there are things we can be proactive about, right? Smoking, drinking, even vaping, we talk about sedentary lifestyle, overweight. You take care of those things, and I know it's easier said than done. Eliminate those things, and now you've decreased your chances of cancer and cardiovascular disease by manyfold. So those are the things we can control right now. And it doesn't have to be working out at the gym 5 hours a day, right? Just a nice walk, cutting back on your weight a little bit. And these things all help prevent, give your body a fighting chance, if you will. The event raises funds for research at Rutgers Cancer Institute. Talk about the impact that the support has had so far.
So there are many people that we've come in contact with. They utilize the New Jersey Cancer Institute as their facility to get treatment. Some of the other things that we've been able to do through the walk itself is bringing people together, bringing families together that this disease has impact. And over those 14 years, we've had some people that themselves were fighting cancer. Teams were built around these people to kind of rally family and friends to get out, to increase their knowledge and to raise these funds. Some of those people, they're not with us today. So we have seen the direct impact that what has happened. So it's important that we bring these people together. That's probably the biggest impact, is that, again, and in our family here, in our Middlesex County family, our employees here, we had Dougie, who was one of our employees, again, as I mentioned earlier, that had died of this disease. We have had other people in the county that have, succumbed to the disease as well. So it's important that, we bring people together, not only to learn, but to share their stories after, their loved ones have passed, or while people are currently going through it. They're going through treatments. It's good to bring them together so that they can talk it through. They can talk about their experiences and learn. They can learn themselves, or they can at least use this as an opportunity to, make things better as they move forward in their treatment.
Lester, are there opportunities for people to participate even if they can't be there in person?
They can go to the donate. Okay, please donate. Please get the word out about the walk that's coming up. You can go to the raise.rutgersfoundation.org/MCPCW, Middlesex County Pancreatic Cancer Walk, to donate towards the walk. Also getting out and learning about the disease, and again, taking care of yourself. These are things that we want people to do so that they can identify this particular cancer or many other cancers, heart disease, things like that, this transcends to other things that, as you have brought up as well,
Yes.
to other
Lester,
diseases and whatnot.
I got to stop you short only because the show is literally at the last 10 seconds. But I want to remind people the 2025 Pancreatic Cancer Walk for the Cure this Saturday, October 4th, Roosevelt Park in Edison. Lester Jones, Health Officer, Director of the Middlesex County Office of Health Services. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
You bet. And that does it for our show. You're watching ONNJ Mornings. We'll catch you again tomorrow morning, bright and early, 7 a.m. Enjoy your day.